started like in December of 2009, we were at a place where I had conceptualized the idea of having a museum here in South Florida. You know, why not? Why not have a jazz museum? So, you know, well, how do you bring the jazz community together in order to foment the idea of a museum? So, well, there it is, a South Florida Jazz Summit, a place where musicians are empowered, fans are empowered, everybody gets to network, and that's how the concept of the South Florida Musician came about. It was just like building a house. You just build it and hope that people came. Put out the idea out there, and sure enough, you know, the mission attracted people. You know, one of the things that I realized is that beyond jazz, I saw this as it starts with people and it ends with people. Now, when we talk about jazz, it's not just, oh, jazz musicians, jazz promoters, we have all this jazz. It's just jazz, the art form, and it could potentially attract all kinds of people. You know, and that's the way I saw it. I'm not looking at the organization as saying, well, you know, we're going to cater to the jazz community, and that's pretty much it. Jazzonian is at a place where it could potentially cater to all kinds of people. It's an art form. It's you know, American's art form. So, little by little, you've seen the emails coming through, and little by little conceptualizing the whole learning as I went along. You know, a lot of feedback from people, and conceptualizing the mission, our values, and sure enough, some fantastic people have been attracted to the mission. You know, one being, of course, Mr. James Chisholm. Thank you for being part of it. James came in, we had a meeting at Starbucks or something. It was one of those things where two people there, right? But you know, it was exciting just to talk about the whole mission, and I guess we connected, and I saw that he was an exceptional leader, and he connected with the mission, and fantastic job, James. He became event chair of this event, and he's pretty much led, you know, the army, so to speak, you know, in what you see here. And he's put it together. He's like, you know, bring on the troops, all hands on deck, you know, and you know, it's looking good. So I want to thank James Chisholm for his leadership. And also want to thank all the volunteers. I think that the one thing that, you know, oftentimes I'm asked, well, look at this, what do you feel about it? You know, I mean, personally, I say, well, it just seems so real to me sometimes, you know. You put something in there, and here you attract a lot of people to the vision. But really, truly, I think that the one thing that gets to me all the time is just the passion that I see in people. Just, of course, the music, the art form is just amazing, given that. But just regular people, you know, volunteers that just want to, what can I do for jazz? A basic question. And pretty much all these volunteers that are here today as part of the song, and they came out to help us. They helped us yesterday set up, you know, they helped me one fundamental question: what can I do for jazz? And you know, when you got people asking that, you know, you're not asking these people, well, you know, what's your history in jazz? Are you a jazzer? Are you a jazz fan? Does that really matter? It doesn't matter. You know, all you have is somebody that's passionate about jazz and wants to, you know, help that cause. So, one person steps up, two persons steps up, 10 people step up, 20 people step up for the mission. I love the mission, I love the mission. I mean, that's what I get. I love this mission, what can I do for jazz? And all of a sudden, potentially, I mean, we can have an army of people just making a difference for jazz out there, and organizing, education-wise, pinpointing areas in South Florida where we need to work together to inspire. I was just doing some research in terms of looking at different organizations and how they convey their message. Obviously some are stronger than others in terms of conveying their position in the marketplace. When I talk about marketplace, I mean the marketplace of jazz. Obviously we have presenters, and there's those that buy into jazz, which are jazz fans. So thinking of a phrase that would encapsulate, sort of like, an emotional phrase, and that as to what the purpose of Jazzonian is. And that was, as Mr. James Chisholm reiterated, to educate, to inspire, and to bring people together. The last part, bring people together, I mean, we're talking about all kinds of people. Because jazz has the potential to bring all kinds of people together for one reason or another. Jazz can be serious music, as Mr. Melton Mustafa alluded to, very intellectual. As musicians, we are able to perform. I mean, we get to a level where if we have a real intuitive jazz audience, we're able to mold our musical communication in a way that this audience is going to understand it. But we're also experienced enough to know that if we have jazz fans that are not too intuitive about the language of jazz, we can make it also fun. And jazz should be also serious music. And I mean, the way I see it is serious music, but it needs to be fun. It needs to inspire. And I think that, I've done a few workshops, jazz, for kids and stuff, over the years. And the one thing that, they pay attention, and they're looking at you to see and asking one fundamental question: are you inspiring? I mean, can you inspire me? Not meaning me, but can jazz inspire? So looking for that opportunities for jazz to inspire, and that is really how you build, one fan at a time. These kids or adults, people are looking to jazz for inspiration, okay? And educating about the history of jazz, the main players, everything that has to do with jazz, the lineage of jazz, and also know that, one of the first phrases that I conceptualized with Jazzonian was celebrate jazz heritage. Because every time we perform or we have any function of jazz, I see it as a celebration. And even though it's viable to say, yeah, it's serious music, but historically speaking, jazz, you celebrate. I mean, you celebrate the moment, you celebrate the history, you celebrate the music, you celebrate among friends and colleagues, and just bring people together. So that was the whole thing with celebrate jazz heritage. The museum, for those of you that know, we have a room over there which is just down the hall. You can check it out. A small room with some of the pictures that we have acquired just to get us started. It's only a first stepping stone. Hopefully we'll be able to expand on that as we move forward. But another thing I wanted to touch in regards to the volunteers that are here, and really the mindset, I mean, conceptualizing the mindset of what my place is, in terms of Jazzonian. I'm just thinking about it. What is my place here, with this organization? I know that it's this very young organization, but I have to know my place before I can inspire other people to come along. And it's simple, very simple phrase, my place is no different than any volunteer that has been inspired by Jasonian. And it simply is, I am in the service of jazz. Very simple. I am in the service of jazz. I mean, what does that mean? That means that I will do anything possible to further this jazz culture, jazz music to the extent, but maybe I know a little bit more about jazz because I'm a musician. But that is no less valuable than a fan who is also in the service of jazz. You know, so in that spirit, you know, the spirit of in the service of jazz, I think that perhaps that's why we're here today. And perhaps we can agree on that, that we are all here, you know, obviously as an industry, to network, to make friends, reacquaint ourselves, you know, the promo, all the organizations, in the service of jazz. It's simple. I mean, I'm not in the service of jazz for myself, you know, it's just, and when we put that on the website front and center, you know, so I hope that you all feel the way we are, and I want to thank everybody for, you know, those of you that came today to share in the service of jazz, to share in the celebration, and network and do what needs to be done to further this art form. And also, you know, to walk around, you know, feel free to make any suggestions on where, on how Jasonian could be better for, as you know, as part of the jazz community. We're always asking, even from the beginning, we are in the beginning, but we're always asking for suggestions. I mean, I'm always asking for suggestions as to how do we make it better. You know, step up and call me up. I'm very accessible. We take suggestions. We take constructive criticism, however you want to, as long as it's respectful. You know, but suggestions as I mean, I'm a musician. You know, I'm not a curator. Or, you know, I had no idea before 2 years ago that I would be kind of involved in a museum, so to speak. I mean, it's like mind-boggling, to be honest. But the idea came to me, and then the rest is history. Here we are. In that spirit, I need a little help. We need a little help, you know, and even perhaps down the future in 2, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, you know, obviously our long-term goal is to have a physical place here in South Florida. I don't know where that is. Could be in West Palm Beach, could be in Miami, somewhere in South Florida, a building, obviously perhaps with a performing arts center. There would be the Jasonian building, and that would be the museum. And I put out the idea out there, and hopefully a city will, you know, take notice. But, you know, Jasonian is not going to do it alone. I mean, as an organization, in order to inspire that kind of goal, other things need to happen in the South Florida jazz community. And other things are happening. You know, the work of all the organizations, I mean, I see it as last year, last 2 or 3 years, people are stepping up, people are doing more programming, and we just all got to build on that until we're building something that not only are we contributing as Jasonian, but also a whole South Florida industry, jazz industry, is resonating. You know, and when something resonates, okay, you know, other people that higher ups, so maybe in the government or something, will take notice. A city will take notice and say, hey, look, you know what? Jazz is viable. You know, all of a sudden it becomes more viable. Because a lot of times, you know, we're dealing with people who they may not even like the art form, or may not even be familiar with the art form. You're like, jazz, what's that? So there are other things that we need to sell. Also, jazz as a attraction. You know, jazz can be an attraction to the destination. That's why I say that it is possible that South Florida can potentially become a world-class destination for live jazz. Don't you think so?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. We have best schools in the country. We have some of the best talent here in South Florida, and you know, it's possible.